Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be your on camera facilitator. I am dialing in from Edinburgh, Scotland, and I am so glad to be here. I feel like my Saturday night is not complete without a Sonder Social with my Sonder fam. Love seeing all of our returning socialers and want to give a huge welcome to our new or first time socialers. So let us know in the chat if this is your first social or if this is your first weekly social, or maybe this is your first Saturday night social, because I feel like Saturday night is its whole unique vibe. But either way, we are glad that you are here. I also want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator because we are the former Team Texas. Jennifer O will be joining us in the chat as the other facilitator. We are so glad that she is here. And like I said, we are the previous Team Texas because I relocated from Texas. So always super fun to hang out with her in the chat. But welcome everyone. Love seeing the first timers. As always, if you don't have your February journal or you didn't sign up for February and you're waiting on March and you're just getting a jump, you can absolutely take notes, get out those post-it notes, take screenshots. There is no right or wrong way to do this social. Whatever you do, it may get a little bit overwhelming. Just take some deep breaths. Maybe you just want to focus on the chat for this one and do the work in it later because we don't grade these. You don't need to submit these at the end. Maybe I am too much. You can mute me, you can mute the music and just work in the chat and the slides because this is recorded. We will share the link at the end of it so you can always come back and revisit it, especially if you need to leave early, if you've shown up late, all the good things. So we are ready to get started. If you want to share in the larger chat, make sure that it is set to everyone. If it's just to host and panelists, only myself and Jennifer will see it, which is fantastic. If you have some questions, we can certainly try to answer them. And as always, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Please limit repetitive product and accessory questions. If you do have some of those questions, the Silk and Sonder app has a great place for all of those, pencil recommendation, pen recommendation, all those things. And then as always, we will most likely have you redirect any customer care inquiries to hello@silkandsonder.com. Jennifer and I only have kind of limited information, but we can always get headquarters to provide additional information that way. And then as always, Sonder Socials are tools to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if you have had a day, if you have had a week, if you have had a month, we are glad that you're here. Take a big, deep breath. This is going to be fun. We definitely are glad that everybody is here because at the end of the day, you have set aside this time for you and whatever self-care journey you are on. So whatever you get out of this is going to be fantastic because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to show productivity. We do enjoy the power of pen to paper, but we're here to kind of reflect, also find those accountability buddies, as well as just give yourself a chance to rest, recharge, reset, and get some kind of motivation, positivity to get you into the week. So we are still under the theme of confidence. Which I feel like this can be a little tricky because it can go a bunch of different ways. And I also have come to realize that confidence is one of the biggest things that I think I fake so easily that it's almost unsettling. So it's one of those, the kind of internal dialogue and debate that goes on versus the like outward expression of it definitely conflicts. But that is why we have these type of things that we can dig a little deeper and kind of figure out the kind of what is the conscious doing, what is the subconscious doing, and what does it really, really mean? So one thing I want to focus on this when I came across this quote was, your interests and passions are not random, they are connected to your purpose. So what really hit me hard about confidence this week, my high school reunion is coming up. I graduated in 2004 from high school. So yeah, age disclaimer there. And so it taught me to all the things of like things that I maybe wish I could have started there. Again, hindsight 2020. So I can sit here now and be like, haha, I should have done all those things. But then I realized the kind of mindset that I'm in was, what didn't we do because we were worried about what people think? I grew up in Oklahoma. It was kind of a small-ish school. I had 300 other classmates. We had known each other since, some I had known since elementary school, others I had known since middle school. So it was the going back to, what hobbies did I not do? Did I do? What hobbies were I known for? Because I feel like I did a lot. I played piano, I was in the orchestra, I did drama, I did speech. I was also an athlete. So if you were to ask anybody what they associated me with, I was an athlete, but kind of having to compartmentalize, I feel like at that young age of like, these are all the things that I do, but there's no way to quite interlock them. But really and truly, they absolutely should be interlocked because that's what makes me me. Those are my interests, those are my things. And I feel like it also carried into like adulthood where it was like, well, why don't the work people hang out with the soccer friends? Why don't the soccer friends hang out with the drama friends? Why don't those friends hang out with the alumni groups? And so it just became this weird, again, dichotomy of like, what is being upwardly showed of confidence and what am I willing to share? Even just the little things of like, did you have to go through that weird presentation of like, I want to go see this movie, there's no one to go see it with me, so I'm going to go by myself? Or like, I really want to go out for dinner because I don't want to make it and I don't want to do the dishes, but it's me, myself, and I. And you kind of have to go through that like mental gymnastics to be like, it is okay for me to do this. So I feel like that was kind of where the what didn't we do because we were worried about what people think? What things did I miss out on because of that? And so being able to sit and be like, I think confidence is what is leading me to do all these things because all these pieces are me and you can't ignore part of me. So that's kind of where I'm going to explore and see my time this week, which I think leads into kind of our next task of confidence mind map, our rosebud thorn, and our weekly setup pages. So if you haven't done a confidence mind map before, this is not a prompt in the journal. This is one that we create in a blank page or a blank section of the journal. And so they're going to be 4 weeks. So you have 4 opportunities to dive a little bit deeper into the theme of confidence with different prompts. And so we're going to still in that vein of confidence. And what's always great is we always include the previous weeks. So if you miss out, don't worry. And you can always ask in the Silk and Sonder app, and I guarantee you someone has it. So again, if you haven't created your mind map yet, turn to a blank page. Don't worry, I will show an example. And then maybe that's not also where you put it. Maybe you put it in your weekly to-dos or your scratch pad. There are, again, no right or wrong places to put this. But the prompt and the questions we're going to ask ourselves for week 2 is under confidence in your appearance. So list one thing you appreciate about your body, name something that your body does for you daily, describe 3 amazing experiences you've had because of your body. So here again is my map that I've created. Week 1 was there, week 2. I've also included the prompt here as well as some additional kind of expansion questions because again, it is one thing that you appreciate your body. So my one thing is my smile. I feel like it's one of those that I'm very happy about it. I certainly find myself hiding behind it a lot, but I still think it's great. And then name something that your body does for you daily. For me, I am very lucky and very fortunate that right now my body does everything that I ask it to on a daily basis. I am lucky that it still does. I am lucky that I still can. And I look back and I haven't been able to not do something because of it. But again, I know that I'm very fortunate, but I do have an autoimmune condition. And so I feel like my body and I are now in tune with things. So I do get some early warnings so I can recognize some of those things. And so the 3 amazing experiences I've had because of it is I have built this relationship of it speaks and I listen, even though I stubbornly didn't when I was younger. And I regret some of those lack of physical therapy sessions. Maybe I should have not played when the doctor told me not to play sports, but here we are. I also have to applaud it for its resilience. I am immunosuppressed, but I always fare a little bit better than I always expect. So it definitely bounced back. And then I was able to do the kind of college and military experience for at least a limited time. I physically had to leave the military because of the autoimmune condition. So it gave me the warning signs. I finally took it as divine intervention and went and was able to pivot. So I definitely need to be kinder. I need to be gentler with it. But I know this can be a little bit of a tricky topic, but be gentle, be kind, take some deep breaths. And if you, there are days where this is not the question you want to answer, this is not the question you want to hear, this is not even something you want to think about. That's okay. Maybe pick it up on a different day when you're feeling a little bit more confident, that you can address it. But you can also think of this in how those that love and support you would describe kind of when you ask these questions of them. But then, as always, you can maybe focus on just one question, or maybe you have additional answers to those questions. It doesn't have to be those. So we are currently working on the confidence in your appearance prompt. I'm going to give you some time to work on this, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I know sometimes the conversation around appearance and bodies and all those things can be a little tricky, but reading in the chat, it was still nice to see the celebration and appreciation of all that is fantastic and all that we do in our own little ways. And I feel like sometimes that is also kind of burrowing into the confidence that we have, but also, you reach certain milestones where certain things just become a little bit easier to accept. But also the opportunity to kind of sit and celebrate it, I think is really great. And again, if you weren't quite in the headspace for this one, that's okay. These are designed to be looked at, throughout the week. So maybe if you didn't quite come up with all the answers right now, you can come back to it throughout the week, or maybe build onto it or add to it if you still need some bingo squares in that February bingo board. Maybe you can throw in some confidence and appreciation of your appearance in that regard. So thank you, everybody, for sharing, especially when it became the vulnerability side. We do amazing things and we're amazing people, and being able to share that with all of you is fantastic. So now we're going to move on to our next exercise. So please join me in the February journal on page 36 for the rosebud thorn, as we're going to continue the celebration. Because again, Rosebud Thorn is an excellent exercise to celebrate the wins and acknowledge the not so wins of the week, and see them in the great of the like highs and lows and everything in between on the roller coaster that is potentially the week. Because this opportunity can kind of give you maybe some motivation or some momentum to pull into the start, stop, and continue based on maybe your rose and your buds and your thorns. We'll start with the thorn. Jennifer and I always go back and forth with this because our sleep sucks. So I feel like this absolutely addresses it. My sleep has been off the charts this week. It's been non-existent. It's been so all over the place, which I do a credit to like lack of energy and all the other things. So need to fix that, figure it out, get off the couch, go to bed, all the little things. For my bud, so a bud is an emerging opportunity, something that I'm excited about, something that you're excited about, something that you're looking forward to, something on the horizon that you're not a little unsure of, but excited for. So the bud for me is I actually have signed up for a couple main character club events, which is a predominantly female group in Scotland that's put together kind of a wine event or a piercing cross stitch fire campfire and kind of a plunge, and then like a Harry Potter trivia night, and then there's like a dance at the end of it. So all of these really fun events to find friends and those type of things. So I'm really looking forward to that. Those will be coming up in March, so I will keep you posted. And then the rose, that should be the highlight, the win, something that you did well, something that went well, something that made you smile. So I made this leap over to the other side of the Atlantic for work, and I was awarded my very first solo project over here, and I'm super excited because I had a lot of zeros in that column. I had a lot of opportunities out there, 12 to be exact, with a still big zero. Now I got a 1 in that column. So I am thrilled to pieces. I'm excited about it. So share with us if you want your rosebud thorn in the chat, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Definitely celebrating and being your cheerleader along with you for those roses this week. Sharing in the optimism and excitement about the buds that are coming up and sending whatever extra love and support needed for those thorns. Thank you everybody for sharing. And then we always kind of get asked, like, what is something you can do with this? Not only just to acknowledge those kind of specific events or specific things, but I always like to use it as a kind of litmus test of kind of how am I feeling? Was I able to quickly come up with a rose, or did it take some time? Did I have a laundry list of thorns that kind of snuck up on me? Because I feel like that kind of tells what type of mindset I may be in or what mindset I'm going to be, because I'm also very, very stubborn. So if I'm in one of those kind of negativity, not so optimistic moods, I'm going to have to work a little bit harder for some of the to-dos and the weekly um, items that we have coming up on the weekly spread to kind of counterbalance that whatever funk I'm in. So thank you everybody for sharing. So again, please join us in the weekly pages. So we're on page 40 in the February journal. So page 1 is going to be 40 and the second page is going to be page 41. And as always, just because we provide some of these examples and just because I talk through examples does not mean that is the only way to do this. This is absolutely your permission to do exactly what you need to get you through the week. It may take some trial and error, but that's perfectly fine. It is perfectly natural. And there certainly a type of, I feel like, journey that you're going to go on at some point to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what you need, what you don't need, what is going to work for you. So this is your absolute permission to go confidently into those repurposing opportunities, or going confidently into sticking absolutely to the script of that particular page for whatever you need to do. So we start at the top of page 40 with this week, I want to feel. So for me, the way I approach this is my baseline. This is my end goal that I can always come back to. And I'm going to tweak everything in between so that we can always come back to this baseline, back to this center, back to this, again, goal oriented ending. So I always ask myself, how do I want to feel this time next week? Again, that's just my approach, but maybe you want to feel more something and less something. Maybe it's an embracing of a phrase, an affirmation, a quote. Maybe you're wanting to deep dive into a particular definition of a word that you want to feel. Maybe you want to feel a different way each day because that's what you need in order to get through your week. But also, you can also be one of those that maybe it's just a sticker. Maybe it is something fun. And again, maybe it is a kind of embodiment of how you want to feel that can't be contained in a single word. So I'm going to turn on the music really quickly. So start throwing into the chat how you want to feel this time next week. I'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. And as always, put in the chat if you need me to go back a slide, forward a slide, all of the slides. I am here to help. So we are still on page 40, and now we're moving to the weekly major 3 goals. So the way that I kind of build this into how I want to feel this time next week, these tend to be for me the overarching maybe themes or the mental and emotional reminders that I need in order to feel the way I want to feel this time next week. So a couple different ways to break that down. Again, when in doubt, sticker it out. Maybe you have pulled that you want to feel a couple different ways. So the one at the bottom wanted to feel calm, centered, and creative. So they made a different goal for each of those ways that they want to feel. Maybe again, categories are your thing. Maybe it is professional, mind, body, heart. Maybe it's just the three things that you want to accomplish. So maybe major isn't what you want to do. Maybe these are the weekly minor three goals. Maybe these are just the weekly goals. Maybe these are just the major goals. And you have like 1 or 2 or 4 or 10, all those things. Love a good alliteration. So again, maybe it's a productive, peaceful, and powerful goal, or a frog, fun, and fierce. Maybe you break it down into school, self, and family. What I also liked about the other one is that it's a mind, body, soul that ties directly into the specific to-dos for those goals. Or maybe hashtag you need lines. So this is where your routines live. Maybe this is where your self-care routines are. Again, maybe there's a connection directly between the three goals and the weekly to-dos. Also, again, another good alliteration is the learn, leap into, and let go. There are no right or wrong ways to approach this. So let us know what your major three goals this week are, or what type of approach do you have? Are you a categories person? Are you a completely revamp and repurpose because it has lines? Or are you a mental reminder, or just kind of a here's what I want to accomplish in order to feel the way I want to feel this time next week? I'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Just a quick check-in, especially with the new folks. I know we may be going me a little quickly, but we do only have a set amount of time. But you can continue to work on whatever sections you need to be working on. Just because I have moved to a different section does not mean you got to move along with me. But again, just keep in mind, if you need to take screenshots, just jot down some notes and you can come back and work on this a little bit later, or you can always check the replay. So thank you everybody for sharing. We are still on page 40. Now we're going to just jump over to the other side of the page for the weekly to-dos. And the weekly to-dos are another one of those are what are the kind of key items, key appointments, what are the things that are going to take up your 24 hours a day in order to feel the way you want to feel this time next week, as well as kind of overlaying some of those either focus goals that you've addressed in categories or some of those reminders that you need because you got to get this to-do list done in order to kind of, again, accomplish the week. So maybe you have the to-do list approach. Maybe you have the to-do list approach. The difference between the to-do and the to-do is everything is still to done, just the different mindset that you come in to address it. And sometimes it can be a combination of maybe one week a to-do list works better, maybe another week it's a to-do list. And then when I have found that I've carried over the same item over a couple different weeks, that is when I break down into some of our productivity designs, which is the Eisenhower matrix, which is the do, decide, delegate, or drop, or delete. There are a couple examples there. Or the Pomodoro technique where I really need to buckle down and I pick a task, set a timer, work on that task until the timer is up, and then I can move that into my to-do or to-do list completion. Or maybe this is where you just kind of track appointments. Again, we love a good bingo board. Same with the philosophy of you still get the stuff done. Make sure to incorporate some of those other things that you don't actually have planned. So the appointments, the meetings, all of those things that you have to do some. And so another way to do it is sometimes you just need help with the prioritization of the to-do list. So you can categorize it into the need, want, hope, as well as maybe the needs and the wants. Yeah, I think, again, sorry, I'm a little distracted with the chat because it does go a little bit slower on the Saturday night. That is some of that special Saturday night vibe that I feel like is very special and it's a little secret. So don't tell everybody. And then another way to approach this is maybe this is your weekly to be, or maybe it is just kind of a restructuring or filling out of these are the things you need to do in order to reach the top of the pyramid. Or maybe you completely scratch all of those and this is where your exercise tracker is. Maybe this is where you just put your happy thoughts. Maybe you have a specific type of bingo that you want to accomplish. So there is a cleaning bingo, or again, another reprioritization or a category of a call, errands, follow-up, and schedule. Another do, delegate, decide, and delete. But maybe this is where you track your weekly wins so you can find those roses a little bit better. Or again, another good bingo board to get all of those things done. So let us know what your to-dos are, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. And I do believe Kimberly certainly nailed this particular section with a little progress is better than none, because I feel like as I have kind of gone on this journey, I have realized this particular section, especially for me, is kind of the linchpin of the week. And it's where I get a lot of satisfaction of like what kind of week I had or what one that I can reflect on when I open this. And that is where I found that it changes a lot. And it changes a lot because what I need for 1 week in February is going to be very different from what I need a week in August and a week in December. And so when you have those weird weeks, I have found that this is the section that I tend to change the most. And that's where it goes from a to-do. I'm usually a to-do person, a to-do list to maybe more of the to-do list. Or again, I really just need to buckle down and prioritize. So that's where I move into the need, want, hope, or the Eisenhower matrix. And that's where I found, again, more of my ways to accomplish. Because a lot of times it's not that, I feel like I put a lot of emotions into this section. So when I don't complete it, I get all the feelings. And so sometimes I didn't set myself up for really good success there. And I just needed to change the approach or needed some prioritization or needed some different motivation to kind of get it done. So keep that in mind as you kind of work through these sections, which I also think kind of builds into the habit and activity. Because again, I am a big fan of managing your expectations and setting yourself up for success. So one of the things between, again, the monthly habit and activity tracker and the weekly habit and activity tracker is monthly is something that you want to do every day. The way I then carry it over into the week, I usually carry 2 to 3 things from that week. I'm very much a creature of habit, but I add the lens of reality because as we know, a lot of times time is not our own. And so it requires the prioritization of how do I want to spend the time that I have. And that is where sometimes I don't accomplish things because I didn't set myself up for success or I made alterations that needed to happen. So if I have a really, really busy week, I know that I'm not going to be able to have maybe a set workout time. So the 20-minute walk to work is going to be all the movement I get done for that day. Or as much as I want to sit and get lost in every single book that I read, I cannot sit and read a book all day. So maybe I kind of restrict myself to like take 10-minute breaks every now and then, or read a couple chapters, read one of those chapters. I'm a big fan of short chapters, so I can knock those out. So that's kind of the way that I kind of look at it. Because again, a lot of times I have the same 2 or 3 habits that I track from week to week, month to month, year to year. But there again are other ways to do that. You can certainly come to the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 approach, but just because there are 5 lines listed doesn't mean you need to have 5 things. Maybe you just have 3, maybe you have 2, maybe you have 1. Maybe you are on vacation and the last thing you want to do is worry about a habit and activity tracker. So you got nothing. And that's also awesome and amazing. And you deserve to have that unplugged moment in all of its entirety. But also maybe these aren't exactly like specific habits or activities. Maybe these are, again, where you put some of those reminders. Maybe it's the be kind, the acceptance, get enough sleep, some of those kind of mantras. And then another thing that I do like about the structure is maybe your weekdays look different than your weekends. And so you're able to make those changes there. Maybe you don't always have a specific goal of I want to do this so many times this week, or maybe you do, and that's absolutely your motivation to do so. But I always recommend doing something fun or providing something a little silly, something that makes you smile, something that kind of feeds into maybe some of those things that you were worried about what people thought about you if you did. I'm a karaoke fan. I sing. I like to dance, like to make new playlists. All of those things I think are super fun. And then again, big fans here. So if you need some Saturday reminders or weekend reminders, these are here for that, as well as incorporating really fun bucket list items that are unique to either the month, the week, or any sort of holiday coming up. So we will see you soon. Let us know what habits and activities you are working on this week. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I do love seeing, as Jennifer pointed out, in order for it to be a habit and activity, you kind of have to carry it over for a few times. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with carrying over some of those same habits and activities. I feel like that's why I joined kind of Silk and Sonder here for the trackers to kind of embed some of those, stay for kind of the creative element to it. So thank you everyone for sharing. We are now going to flip over to the other page. We are now on page of 41 in your February journal. And I lovingly refer to this as the B-side. I'm a huge music person, so it's flipping the record where I diligently listen to the A-side. Those were all the #1 hits are. So that's the page that I like, which was the page we just completed. There are some really hidden gems that I have found on the second page, but it is not something that I use on a very regular basis. But we're going to start at the top with the meal plan. This is one of those that I do feel like does get repurposed a lot, but you can certainly use it as a meal plan, especially if you're trying to track some of those budgetary things. And then some people also use this as kind of a real-time food tracker. Maybe this is where your to-do list lives. Maybe this is where your meetings or kind of calendar social event is. What we've also seen is that it's kind of turned into a place for reflection and affirmations. So maybe this is now the meal plan for the soul, and this is where you write down some prompts for you to do some deeper reflection. Maybe this is where some of the reflections are. The affirmations is a good place to track there. Maybe this is how you show composure for the day. I have also used this as a wardrobe, and someone is using this as a clothing planner. I feel like certainly from a work from home situation, I have probably worn the same couple clothes on rotation, so maybe it's a good way to track that. Maybe this is where your chore chart lives. Someone is doing an amazing job of writing a new haiku for each day. So that's the sample in the middle. And then I realized that part of my maybe lack of sleep and low energy was because I didn't have enough vegetables. And I do love vegetables. So I kind of got on a kind of seasonality and sustainability kick. So this is actually an Instagram account called We Are Brightland, and they actually include what produce and fruits are actually in season at the moment. So if you need to kind of shake up maybe your meal plan, these are what's in season. Usually seasonality means sustainable farming, fresher accessibility, as well as some of those in budgetary concerns. So you do have all of those options there. So let us know if you repurpose your meal plan, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love seeing how everyone is certainly incorporating it, seeing that kind of shift back into the kind of meal planning or meal tracking. But then also love seeing all the kind of other creative ways of repurposing this. So we're still going to stay on page 41. We're now moving to the Mind Body Health Plan. This is another one of those that I do think gets repurposed a lot. Again, that's kind of the theme for the second page. And maybe this is where you want to do some of kind of the alliterations around the days. So maybe it's a Motivation Monday, Talk It Out Tuesday. Nathania is a feel and need component where you think about how you're feeling and what you need. Maybe this is just where you need some stickers or the observe and not absorb. Maybe this is where you put some of the journal prompts. Maybe this is what you did for your mind, spirit, and health that day. Maybe this is where you are tracking maybe your wellness or kind of the 7 types of rest. Maybe you just another chore. This is where they live, your chores live, reading log, that kind of how did you care for yourself. Or you also have the shopping list, which again, theme of the night for here is the repurposing. And this is maybe where a daily ritual lives or your shopping list needed to help with the meal planning. Bingo boards are really great, I think, for here as well. But they also, you guys have come up with such amazing themes. There's a celebrate the wins, the just for fun, the boring stuff bingo. Maybe this is where self-care reminders can be. Maybe this is, again, stickers and quotes. Maybe this is your kind of how do you show love bingo board. Maybe this is the positive self-talk. Maybe it's a don't buy and buy. I really thought the hobby bingo was really fun because it tied directly to a habit and activity where they picked a hobby for the day. I also really liked the ideas for mini breaks at work, especially if you have an office job, or I definitely feel I get chained in my chair sometimes, even at home. And then the I am loving section, I think is really fun. It's a way to just kind of shout out into the world what you are loving. I am still on an animal aspirational quote kick. They make me smile. They make me happy. And I have certainly loved falling down that Google rabbit hole. And then I have also included some of the weekly spreads for some ideas. You guys have put some amazing ones in here of just kind of how you break down those weekly pages on the weekly spread, as well as the scratch pad. So don't worry, I will go through all of these examples, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Can you believe that we have reached the end? We would love to continue the conversation over in the Silk and Sonder app. As always, we love to see all of your great ideas in your pages. That is how we create these amazing social examples, because you all provide some of those amazing things. And if you're always looking for ideas, I always recommend at least the next kind of hour, maybe 2 hours, because you get a kind of big flurry of activity of all of the examples after each of the socials. So it's really fun. Definitely continue on the inspiration vibe. And as always, Jennifer is going to start including some of those links, specifically the social survey. We read all of the feedback. Let us know what socials you want to see, when you want to see them. Make sure you include your time zone to incorporate some of those. And then also she will include the YouTube link. This is unsearchable. So make sure that you bookmark it. And that's where you can see previous socials from all the different categories, not only the weekly setups, but also the monthly setups, as well as the specific prompts, the journal prompts, as well as the life workbook. There are still socials in there. So if you show up late, have to leave early, or if you just really, really need a social and there isn't one scheduled, it's always great to go there. Here is my playlist. Don't worry, I will provide the link to Spotify. I keep my accounts there. I make a new playlist for each of the events. So if you need a good 30-minute vibe, I have a lot of 30-minute playlists there. So I always welcome you to listen. And thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Saturday. We are so glad that you're here. We are so glad that you shared. You guys are amazing. The most fantastic accountability buddies we could have. And I look forward to seeing you guys at another event. Thank you. Have a fantastic night, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
I wish that you could see yourself from my eyes, 'cause maybe then you'd give yourself a little more time. Give your rainy mind a little sunshine, 'cause in your heart, in your skin, in your soul, just let it in. Promise me you'll try to make it through the night. Forgive yourself, like you would somebody else. And love yourself, like you would somebody else. Even when you're caught up in the wrong crowd, and the voice inside your head is drowned out, I hope you always know there's a way out of the cold and the dark. Find the fire from the spark. Promise me you'll try to make it through